My name is Natalie Miller.
I'm Rebecca Jackson.
I'm Hannah Kamek.
I'm Cambria Reeves.
Cambria and Natalie are the religionists in this debate.
And Hannah and Rebecca are the humanists. And I am going to go ahead and start with our opening statement. So humanist is all about its personal life, and it's a cooperative effort to promote social well-being. We're all on the quest for a good life. That's human nature, no matter who you are. But we feel like religious forms and ideas of our forefathers are no longer adequate for our day and age, and you are responsible for your own happiness and achievement in life, and you are in control of your dreams and achieving them. We don't have a higher power that is responsible for that. We're responsible for that by ourselves. Humanism is a moral force. We believe that humankind has the potential, intelligence, goodwill, and cooperative skill to implement this commitment to a happy life for everyone. And that's our opening statement.
The United States Constitution declared the source of government power, delegated that power to a government, and regulated its exercise. One of the great fundamentals of our inspired Constitution is the principle that people are the source of government power. This principle of popular sovereignty was first written and applied on the American continent over 200 years ago. As the preamble to our Constitution states, we, the people of the United States, do ordain and establish this Constitution. Along with many other religious people, we affirm that God is the ultimate source of power and that under Him it is the people's inherent right to decide their form of government. A member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Elder Dalnate Oaks, said these things in support of religious freedom. Religious freedom is a basic human right that deserves to be protected. When the Pilgrims came over from England, the reason that they left to a new world was to flee from the reign of a king who decided for them the religion and religious practices that they would have to follow. In this land, they found that freedom. The Alliance Defending Freedom reminds, throughout our history, America has been a land defined by religious faith and freedom. Religious freedom is our first and most fundamental, God-given right deemed so precious that our founding fathers enshrined it in the U.S. Constitution. Today we will present evidence as to why this basic right needs to be protected.
Okay, so some of the main arguments from the humanist perspective is religion may inspire a lot of people to be ethical and be better people, but we believe that the traditional authoritarian religions that have to have a God kind of put it above human needs, and it gives human species a disservice. It doesn't account for all the great things that humans really can do. It doesn't make any religion oftentimes does not show that humans are rational beings. We also, with the humanist perspective, we believe that moral values are necessary for the human experience, and that it can become a communal effort. We should all work together for the common good. It can help, if we switch to humanism, it can serve present-day needs and guide us towards the future. It can be modernized and updated, and we can provide humankind with unparalleled opportunity. You don't have to find you don't have to be religious in order to find joy in life. You can work towards personal achievements. Traditional religion encourages dependence rather than independence, obedience rather than affirmation, and fear rather than courage. Some of the other points that are important from the Humanist Manifesto is that It's important to realize that there's dignity in the individual person and that people should be encouraged to realize their own creative talents and desires. And with this comes a democratic society, and this includes freedom of speech, all these policies that help each person work together and become who they need to be, and they don't need a religion to tell them what's right and what's not right. And it's important to have a separation of church and state. And that's our main argument. Natalie, you're muted.
Can you hear me now? Oh, well, my thing doesn't say that. It says I'm muted now. Okay, anyways, sorry, I'll start over. The main arguments for the religionist side is that religion is what American democracy was founded on. Elder Dallin H. Oaks shared, the guarantee of the free exercise of religion, which I will call religious freedom, is the first expression in the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. As noted by many, this preeminent place identifies freedom of religion as a cornerstone of American democracy. The second argument would be that people are trying to break down the foundation of the country that it was founded on. The greatest infringements of religious freedom occur when the exercise of religion collides with other powerful forces in society. Among the most threatening collisions in the United States today are 1. The rising strength of those who seek to silence religious voices in public debates, and 2. Perceived conflicts between religious freedoms and the public appeal of newly alleged civil rights. The third is everyone has the right to freedom of speech. Aside from the obvious fact that this objection would deny free speech as well as religious freedom to members of the church and its coalition partners, there are other reasons why the public square must be open to religious ideas and religious persons. As Richard John Naess said many years ago, in a democracy that is free and robust, an opinion is no more disqualified for being religious than it is for being atheist or psychoanalytical or Marxist or just plain dumb. The final comes from from the United States goes into countries to try to set up the democratic order, which would include religious freedom. Under the U.S. Department of State Diplomacy and Action Religious Freedom, it reads, given the U.S. commitment to religious freedom and to the international covenants that guarantee it as the inalienable right of every human being, the United States seeks to promote freedom of religion and conscience throughout the world as a fundamental human right and as a source of stability for all countries. Assist emergency democracies in implementing freedom of religion and conscience. Assist religious and human rights, non-governmental organizations in promoting religious freedom, identifying and denounce regimens that are severe prosecutors of basis of religious beliefs. The Yale Law Journal states, religious freedom is one thing nearly all Americans, left and right, religious and secular, have been able to agree upon, perhaps because it protects all of us. Atheists are protected from imposition of prayer and Bible reading in state schools. Churches are protected from interference from hiring ministers. Religious minorities are protected from majoritarian legislation indifferent or hostile to their concerns. Progressive churches are protected when they oppose segregation or counsel draft registers. Traditionalists Churches are protected when they oppose abortion or operate faith-based schools. Non-traditional faith groups with familiar worship practices are allowed to carry them out in peace. Because none of us can predict who will hold political power, all of us can sleep more soundly if we know that our religious freedom does not depend on the electronic election returns. Where is the debate when everyone is protected and it does everyone good?
All right, so in this, do we just ask you questions and then you answer them all and then you ask us questions? Perfect. Well, my first question for you guys is, why do we even need God or even religion to guide us in our lives if we have our own good moral compass to guide us?
I would like to answer that in a question for you. Where do our morals and values come from? If we're supposed to act on our own morals, and we're supposed to, like you said, the moral values all work together, and that we should be able to base our good works on morals and values, where do those good works, morals, and values come from if there's no God or religion?
Well, we think that it comes from wanting everyone to have a happy life and everyone doing their best. Sorry.
In the Humanist Manifesto, we believe that it's human nature to want good for everyone.
So that's what guides our morals, is that we want everyone to have good, and if everyone has good, why do we need a God to tell us what is good and what's not good if we're just trying to let everyone be happy and have good? Why do you have to have a God to tell you what is good?
I think that we need to have a God so that we can base our morals and values on things that are going to make us good. If I dare point out the crime statistics throughout the United States, I mean, that would show that humans are not good-willed, that there are people out there who just want to hurt people, and that is their will. And so how do you act upon that? And so I think that God is needed because you have to have something, commandments, laws, to make people know an example after.
So can you only have a happy and satisfied life if you have a God or believe in a higher power? Is that the only way to have a satisfied life?
I think that people can have a satisfied life. I mean, we know that that atheists, they don't believe in a God, and it says that there are at least 500 million declared non-believers in the world, which makes them the fourth biggest religion. So as much as we want to say that only religions are only organizations that believe in a God, I think religion is organizations that have a common belief. And for a lot of people, that is a God. And I think that it gives them direction and it gives them hope. Atheists don't believe in a God, and they think that they are given direction and hope through not believing in God. And I think that you guys are fighting for this humanist thing for kind of a global view, but it's like to have a God or to not believe in a God still is our choice with freedom of religion. And so it's not imposing on anyone else if a God gives someone else meaning and direction in their life.
So we believe that reason is one of the most important things behind humankind, that you can reason, and that's why you make the choices you do. Someone who's religious, do they not use their reason and they just blindly follow their clergyman because they're told that's what you have to believe in and that's what you have to do to return home?
We were all born with a gift of free agency. We have the agency to pick and choose where we were going to go, what decisions we're going to make. We just have God and His principles and commandments and laws there to guide us, to give us some direction, to know how to be Christ-like. And so through our free agency, we can make decisions on our own. So no, we don't have to say, oh, okay, I'm Mormon, so I can't drink because that's what the Word of Wisdom says. You should say, because of your free agency, that I don't drink because that's my choice. It's not my religion.
Really quick, a backup question to that, Natalie, is just when you're raised in a religion, whether it's Christian, Jewish, whatever, do you believe that that leads you to believe a certain way? It leads you to believe, to have these choices kind of made for you because these clergymen or whoever tells you that this is how it is and that's who you grew up believing?
I think that it still boils down to choice. It's nice to have examples to follow. And very far from religious, how do we learn how to do things? How do we learn how to dance? How do we learn to become a mother? How do we learn to clean the house? We follow the examples of people. We look for people that we look up to see their example and to follow their way. So I think that the clergyman or whoever, your pastor, bishop, anybody who you have, that you look up to them for guidance for that reason. If you don't have respect for them, then you're going to look somewhere else. So you're not always going to look at that person for guidance. You might look at someone else. You might look at an atheist and find that you don't want any beliefs, but you're going to find someone in your life that is going to help you in any direction, no matter if it's religious or secular, sorry.
I have a question for you, another one then. So would you agree that traditional religion encourages dependence rather than independence, and obedience rather than affirmation, and fear rather than courage?
Those are a lot of things. Can't answer to all of them. No, I think that traditional religion, I think it does give you independence because it gives you a course to follow. It gives you boundaries and guidelines, which I get that some people wouldn't find independent to know that we have rules. But I think just like any governing power, like our government has set up guidelines, like rules, boundaries for us to live within those boundaries to give us independence and freedoms to choose and to direct our lives and to have goodness in our homes. We can have a sense of safety and security, knowing that my fellow mankind will abide by these rules and these boundaries. Religion does the same thing. It gives us these boundaries that will bring us a happiness in life. And like Natalie had mentioned before, we also have choices. We know that people break the laws all the time, and there's consequences to breaking laws, just like there are consequences when you break religious laws or God's laws. There are going to be consequences, and you won't feel that independence when you break those because you have to face the consequences just like you would with any law or boundary. So I think it does give you greater happiness and independence and all those positive things you were questioning. I can't remember what all of them were. I think just giving yourself rules and guidelines, whether it's a government imposing them or God's laying them out, then you can still find that joy and happiness and independence in that.
Does religion foster fear, though, because you are fearful of not following the religion and making the right choice, and if you make the wrong choice, then you're fearful of where you'll actually be sent instead of being able to go to heaven?
Do cops make you fear speeding because you don't want to get a speeding ticket? It's the same thing, right? Like what Cambria just said, like there's laws throughout this United States. So I mean, even if religious freedom wasn't a part of the law, you would still have rules and laws that you would have to follow. So I don't think religion makes you fearful. I just think it makes you more aware. Just like when you're driving, you're aware that you're speeding and that there's a possibility that you can be pulled over.
So traditional theism has been unproven. It's not a proven thing. Nobody's seen God. Nobody's can prove that God exists. So doesn't it give people the false hope of heaven hereafter? Shouldn't they just focus their efforts on being a good person in this world and the achievements and happy life that they can have in this right now?
I think that they are focusing on that. So one thing about humanism is it's all talking about like finding happiness and things. I think if religion brings you happiness, then why would we tell someone, well, you can't do that to find happiness, because we're going to tell you what brings you happiness. However, if you're not religious, then you'll find happiness in our way. You're still taking away someone's agency by making them choose to not be religious. And I think if that brings you happiness, what if none of it was true, yet it made you live a better life and be a better citizen and choose to be happy? Then wouldn't you succeed? Would it even matter if it's making you be a better person and a better citizen and a better neighbor? I don't think it should matter if it's if you're being a better person with it.
My last question for you is, you talked about opinions are disqualified if you share a religion or religious belief, that you think that opinions are automatically disqualified in the public square. But because we believe in the moral good of humankind and don't have this higher power guiding us, don't you as religionists disregard this because we don't share the same morals? We have different morals, and you don't believe in the same morals as we do.
Well, according to you, humankind has all the same a goodwill and high morals and good values. So we do have the same, if that's what you want it, right? If that's what you're saying.
Well, my question is because we don't have a higher power guiding our morals, so our morals aren't the same as yours.
I know, but you said that your morals and values are based on good intentions and goodwill. So even without a higher being, wouldn't that still be based on what our morals and values are based on?
Right, but my question is, if we don't have the same, we may have the same morals, but because we don't believe in the higher power that you believe in guiding us, that our morals aren't as important as yours are, because you have this higher power guiding you. And so do you tend to disregard what our beliefs are because we don't have this power guiding us?
Want to take it?
You can go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that if you are someone who bases your morals and you want to be a good person and you want to follow the laws of the land and you are a good neighbor and you are kind, I have friends who don't believe in a higher power, or maybe a different higher power, or maybe they put their faith in science more than in a God. And to me, I feel like making us be better people. People can worship how they want, and that's the joy of religious freedom. That's why I enjoy it so much, is because it's okay for me to worship a God, and it's okay for you not to. We all want to be good people, but I'm not going to say how you have to worship, but you should worship, or how I shouldn't worship. So I think that, would I think that you are a lesser person or doubt your statements and your stance because you place things in a more secular base than I do in a spiritual base? I think if you're fighting for what's right, then secular, like that's because we don't like to use our religious speech in the public, on the public, or in the public arena or on the public stage. We find good things in science and in secular knowledge. That's how we're meeting and letting our voices be heard. So why would we disregard your voices if you aren't going to disregard ours? We want to be respectful of all of those things.
It's your turn to ask us questions now.
Right on. Okay, our first question is this. The 10 Commandments are posted in the U.S. Supreme Court chamber. So if this is right there, then how can you guys claim or push this idea that religion isn't the cornerstone of America and the basis of America?
One main part of the Humanist Manifesto is that things are updating, things need to change, and we don't disregard that a lot of morals and traditions come from religion, and that has benefited us. But we also have landed on the moon. We've also discovered more about our universe. We have learned all these things, and so part of the Humanist Manifesto is to say, okay, maybe I don't believe in your 10 Commandments, and you can't push that on me. And I think, and we would argue that when you lay down those laws or whatever, it hinders our human progression, and it doesn't let us go further and explore our reason. Rebecca, would you have anything to add to that?
That we do think that it was the foundation of the world, or America at least, but times have changed, and it's outdated, and it doesn't need to guide us anymore. The morals of humankind, of being compassionate and trying to help each other out and doing the best we can, that's what should guide us now, not the religion of our forefathers.
Just a follow-up on that. As humanists, are you guys familiar with what the 10 Commandments are and why our morals and values would be based on those?
I think most people know at least of the 10 Commandments. They might not know all 10. And I think a lot of humanists would agree, I'm not going to kill my neighbor, but you can't tell me that I can't worship. I mean, why are those rules specific to, do they have to govern our whole country? Does that make sense? Like, if the 10 Commandments are what we're going to follow, where did those even come from, and why can't we reason and come up with our own laws and commandments that will better our society?
So just so I know that I understand you, is you, as a humanist, want to create commandments that people have to follow to base our morals and values on. You want to impose your feelings, thoughts, laws, commandments on other people who may not agree with it.
I think that's what your God and most other people's God is doing. I feel like the Humanist Manifesto kind of comes together as a united front to come up with these as a society.
So my God is forcing you to love your brother and is forcing you to not kill somebody. My God's doing that.
Well, are our laws and beliefs about the humanists, is that forcing it on you?
Well, what are the laws when it comes to killing somebody? Do you go to jail for it? Do you get punished for it?
I think you know the answer to that.
Okay, so I'm saying that you can't say that our God is forcing people to do something when he's not putting a gun in somebody's hand and saying, hey, you should kill your neighbor. If we know, we see that God wants us to love our brothers, and I don't see what's wrong with that. He wants the world to love one another.
We see a problem with putting the Ten Commandments as a religious document in our government. You might come up with similar things, but our problem is the traditional religion being a part of our government.
But the Ten Commandments are nowhere in laws. They're just based.
You just said they're at the Supreme Court.
What?
You just said that they're at the Supreme Court. So don't they affect what we do in our government?
Right. But aren't you for good values and good morals?
Yeah, but why do we have to have the Ten Commandments to give us those good values and morals? Why we can use reason. It's not good to kill someone. That's a good reason. So don't go kill someone. Why do we need a higher power telling us don't commit murder? If we can
So
make
you just want the secular version of the Ten Commandments.
what?
You just want the secular. You want the 10 reasons instead of the 10 commandments. They basically would be the same thing, but you just want 10 reasons instead of absolutes.
We just
Correct?
don't need a higher power telling us what. We just don't need a higher power telling us what it is. We need to come up with we need to reason with all mankind and come up with what is best for our society to help each other and to be better people so that we can all have happiness.
Well, so since you obviously don't agree with religious freedom, but you're trying to press your beliefs on us, what's the difference? If it's a God that is imposing those commandments or those rights that you think that everyone should have, but you don't like that religious people are saying God said. So you want those same things, but you want to push them on people who do believe in religion. Basically, you want us to act religious, but just take God out of it and blame it on, hey, I'm a human and I'm really nice. So you're trying to press your beliefs on us. You don't like that we have God in our beliefs.
I saw your question in the discussion board, kind of similar, and Rebecca can maybe add her own thoughts, but kind of what I think is the reason why we had to come out with a humanist manifesto is to show that sometimes traditional religion can inhibit humans. And so we had to declare what we thought happened in a human. We had to declare in our humanist manifesto that not necessarily all these religious things don't necessarily govern all of us. Does that make sense? Like, we're not we're not saying I'm taking this human manifesto to everyone's door and making everyone live it, but we had to declare what humanists believe in order to show that there needs to be change, there needs to be modern views and reason. Does that make sense?
Not everything based on religion, but it can be based on the modern views like Hannah was just saying.
So modern views mean no God.
Yes.
If
Sorry,
I can remind you of something from Yale Law Journal that wasn't written by anyone particularly religious. It says, religious freedom is one thing that nearly all Americans, left and right, religious and secular, have been able to agree upon because it protects all of us. The first thing it says is, atheists are protected from imposition of prayer and Bible reading in state schools. So, religious freedom is protecting you guys from hearing all this stuff about God and religion that you don't want to hear. So if you don't want to hear it, then you don't have to, and you don't have to participate in it. And guess what's giving you that? Religious freedom.
Right, but everyone is given the right of freedom of speech, but we don't need to have a God telling us this is why you have to do this or this or this, but we can be our own good moral compass and make choices for ourselves and for the betterment of the community around us and help each other out, but we don't have to have a God telling us this is why you have to do it. We aren't telling you that's how you have to do it.
Yes, you are telling us that's how you have to do it. You are trying to impose your thoughts, your reasoning on us, right?
Isn't that what you're doing? It's trying to impose your God on us, saying that
But
your
let me
God
go-
guides you,
let me
and so
go
that's
back
the right answer, and so that's what we should do, is what your God says.
Religious
We're
freedom
just saying that you
all of
should
us.
have a moral compass, and everyone should try to do better, and we shouldn't have to rely on this God telling us what to do. We're not telling you what to do, and we're telling you that your God doesn't have to tell us what.
We're just sharing our views. Natalie, I just have a quick question for you.
Yes.
Would you agree that there are some religions out there that are oppressive and that induce fear in their members, and that a lot of religions, maybe not the Mormon religion, but some religions inhibit the human people from becoming better, from finding a fulfilling life in their own way? Would you say that about some religions?
Absolutely. But when you look at the history of the United States, how many countries have we gone into that believe in those religions and have tried to make it a democratic order, which gives them religious freedom?
I don't think anywhere Rebecca and I have said that we're getting rid of your religious freedom. All we've been saying this whole time is just what we believe humans are capable of.
Absolutely.
That we don't need religion to influence our entire government and our entire life. We haven't said anything about taking away your human rights. All we've been saying is just our views and how we think it might better society.
Hannah, do you want to say something, or not Hannah? Cambria. I was looking at Hannah.
I was going to say you can answer that question, and the 15 minutes is up.
You guys have been cutting out so much for me. It's been great. But our 15 minutes are up. Does that mean we're done?
We can end it. It's fine. It's fine. We had a good debate.
If you want to answer, no.
I know you guys were like cutting out that last little bit. I was totally lost. It's like, good job, you guys.
Here, I'll take 30 seconds. I'll try to sum it up. Here's the thing. You don't want our God to tell you what to do, and we don't want you to tell us what to do. So religious freedom, I'm not saying that you guys were saying anything about religious freedom, but religious freedom gives us the opportunity to believe what we want to believe and follow what we want to follow. That means what our morals and values are basically what you guys are saying, but with God in the picture, and that's it.
And that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, the only difference really between the religion and this humanist view is just God. And it sounds like you just want to erase God out of the picture. And that is the joy of religious freedom, is that if you choose to not believe in God, then you can practice your beliefs that way. Those people who want to believe in God can believe in God and practice that way. And we will always have people that commit crime and things like that under the name of God or under the name of their gang. I mean, like, there's always going to be crime. There's always going to be people who break rules, but I don't think that is a reason to get rid of religious freedom that protects all of us, as we have said several times. It protects everyone, the believers and the non-believers.
Okay, Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do our closing statements now, and then we can wrap up.
Cool.
So the humanist perspective is that reason and intelligence, infused by a sense of human caring, is the best method that humanity has for resolving problems. Reason should be balanced with compassion and empathy. We believe that traditional religious backgrounds deny humans a full appreciation of their own potentials and responsibilities. Human life has meaning because we create and develop our futures. Happiness and the creative realization of human needs and desires individually and in shared enjoyment are continuous themes of humanism. We strive for the good life here and now, and we work in a cooperative effort to promote social well-being.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, I just wanted to make sure before I started. Over 200 years ago, our founding fathers, along with people of this great nation, sought protection of our first freedom, the free service of religion. Yet through the years, many have sought to threaten and destroy this cornerstone of American democracy. They still do. They attempt to silence religious voices in public debate and create conflict between religious freedom and civil rights. While religious freedom, the opposition is in direct attack of freedom of speech. One cannot exist without the other. Our government is based on the freedom and promotes this basic freedom in other countries seeking democracy. Our Constitution, government, and country stand on this foundation. It is our duty as American citizens to defend and uphold this vital human right. To close, I would like to end with a quote by one of the greatest supporters of the American Constitution and religious freedom, President Ronald Reagan. He stated, "If we ever forgot that we were one nation under God, then we would be one nation gone under." Thank you. Okay, you guys are up for discussion now?
All I gotta say is next time you guys defend the Humanist Manifesto.
No. I told Cambria. I keep looking at Hannah's picture. I told Cambria, I'm like, I'm so glad we have the easy one because I could fight for it all day.
So it looks like we just have a couple of questions for wrap up.
Okay. Do you have them up?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to?
Yeah, so the first one is, do you think the authors of your article were taking the moral high ground or making a moral statement? Why or why not? And we reflect as a whole group.
So I think both articles were taking a moral stand. Is that what it was? That's what it was? I don't think that they are trying to say, hey, we're better than all these other people in both articles. I think that they were just saying, this is why this is good. This is why we need this. This is why we should do this. And I think both articles did a really good job of that, and they weren't bashing anybody else, you know, which I think that if they were bashing, then it would be that they thought they were better, so they were morally better than them, but they're simply not saying that. So I think that's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're both from a moral high ground. They are both based on their own morals. One that humans are own good moral compass, and the other is obviously religion. But I agree, Natalie, that they weren't bashing each other, that they were just saying, this is what we believe and this is why, and
well, and I think that I agree. I think they were both trying to state, like, this is what we believe. I think that the Humanist Manifesto, they were kind of laying out, like, this is what we want to believe. This is why we think, you know, like, we need to be forward thinkers and evolved, and and kind of religion's a thing of the past, kind of, but they were pretty respectful about all of it. I think that Elder Oaks, his was kind of like, this is what has based it on, this is what we need to do to protect it, this is kind of why it's being attacked. I really liked at the end when he shared things that we should do when we, you know, kind of in the face of opposition, like how should we handle that? And I think it's great advice because we will have to do that, you know, like when we are faced with in the debate, we can, you know, be loving and kind and tolerant and respectful. And I like that he took that route too. Like, not only this is what we believe, but it's okay for us to be friends and be, you know, be okay with people who believe different than we do. That's the joy of freedom of religion, kind of thing.
Both articles, I thought, kind of laid out their own morals. I don't know if the Humanist Manifesto was trying to do that. I don't know if they're just trying to point out like all the reasons why religion has inhibited humans. But I think in doing that, they kind of took a stand, like, okay, we need to be moral people and take care of our communities or whatever. So I don't know if that was the intention, but it definitely came across that way. The second question is, are religious folks the only ones with values and morals? Can morality exist without religion? Why or why not?
I was just going to add real quick to the other one that Hannah and I were commenting on how the Human Manifesto, it was written in 1933 and then amended in 1973, and I was like, holy cow, like,
That's like forever.
sounds like what's happening today, and I didn't realize that it was such a debate even back, how many ever, 80 years, 70 years ago. But the question now, are religious folks the only ones with values and morals? I don't think so. I think that everyone has their own values and morals. They don't have a higher power guiding them, obviously, but they have their own experiences and the examples throughout their life of people teaching them, and their parents teaching them. I think morality can exist without religion, just because some people do want to be good, and they tried their best to be good.
For me, Rebecca said that, you know, people can follow other examples, and I think that you don't necessarily have to have religion, but that you just have to have good people around you with good intentions. It's not necessarily that they're religious either, but now you understand so much why, as church members, you hear in your lessons and stuff like, you should always be an example, because you really don't know who's watching you, and they might not have religion, and they might not want it, and that's fine, but they can say, hey, I saw this lady help some lady with groceries today, and that might give them an example of brotherly love, and then they want to act on that or act like it. So I don't think you need to have God or religion to have high morals.
Well, and I agree, and I think it was reminding me, my sister served her mission in Leipzig, Germany. So in East Germany, back in, I don't know when she served, like 99, I guess. And I remember her saying that she went to these people in East Germany and would teach them about God. They didn't know who God was. So like they said they would teach a zero discussion. So not even the first discussion, but zero discussion was to just tell people like, hey, this is what a higher power is. And they didn't know that. And these people had been taught that there was no help, that no one was out there to help them and to help them rise above. But they still were people who were good and tried to do good things. But I think one thing that they did lack was kind of this true happiness, because it had never been taught and they had been in communism for so long. My sister said there was kind of a darkness and a sadness about the people. And I think that's one thing about the examples, people who don't have God but maybe have examples that they can look to, like Natalie said, or if they do have God, I think that that higher power raises us up to a better place. and a better attitude, and just to find a truer, longer lasting happiness. Even if we do have morals guiding us, it gives us like a more firm foundation to stand on, I guess.
I kind of am echoing what you guys all have said, but I think we can't, your culture, your upbringing, everything around you influences you. Whether you want to say that's morals, whether you want to say that's God, or whatever, people get a sense of right and wrong from their community. And so the only way that I can really think of someone who doesn't have morals, even if someone says, oh, I don't believe in God or whatever, and I'm not religious, that I can see that forest somewhere and didn't interact with anybody or anything, because we are born to be social creatures. We're born to know, I mean, our religion says that we're born with a right and wrong, you know, a little bit of a sense, but people cannot say that I don't have any morals or anything, because everyone gains a sense of right and wrong from people around them.
I agree, and I just have one question for you guys. So, it goes on like religion discrimination. I'm from Chico, California, which if anybody knows anything about Chico, it's just like a college drinking town. Like everybody drinks, and if you like, for example, like when I went to my doctor, he's like, you know, how many times do you drink? I'm like, oh, I don't drink. He's like, no, how many times do you drink wine? And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't, like, no alcohol for me. So it's like, people just think you drink wine if you don't drink, which is kind of insane. Anyways, there's a big brewery, Sierra Nevada. It's famous throughout the United States. Anyways, we went to dinner there during Christmas vacation, and so it's a brewery, so obviously you would have to know what the beer tastes like, I guess. But when we were there, the waiters and waitresses were going to the bar, and they were like taking shots of the beer. And I asked my husband, I said, if I wanted to work at Sierra Nevada, Chico's a small town, so there's not a lot of business or job opportunities. So it would be possible that you'd have to apply to be a waitress or, you know, a waiter there. How would they not discriminate against Mormons who are not supposed to be drinking on their own choice? How would they not discriminate against that? Because you can't put, you must drink alcohol to have this job. I don't know. So I just had a question about the whole religion discrimination that we learned about.
I think.
Take it, Rebecca. I don't have enough for that.
I actually was a waitress for a long time, and they don't. I mean, I wasn't at a brewery, but they can't ask you, do you drink or do you not drink? Maybe they assume that you do drink if you're wanting to work at a brewery.
Right.
So, I know when I served drinks, I would have to. They'd ask me about it. I'm like, I don't know. Let me go ask somebody else who actually drinks.
Yeah.
So.
I just saw that and I was like, wow, like Chico doesn't have that many options, and it's a good paying job, you know, so it's like you couldn't turn it down. And I'm like, but yeah, like our waiter went over like 6 times and tried different beers, and I'm like first of all, you're probably wasted, and second of all, like how, like I don't know. And so I was just like, how do you promote that without discriminating against religion? Anyways, I just had that question, but we can end.
I was going to say that my dad was a bartender.
Okay.
He was a convert. Actually, he's inactive now, but he bartended for years, and he never drank, and he just knew the people, and they liked him, and he was a friendly guy, so that's how he got started with that.
You just have to have a good personality.
No, I don't drink.
Yeah. Okay. I just had that question, but does anyone else have anything to add?
I was just going to ask, do we do a summary tonight?
It didn't say, and I think, it would be hard to debate to summarize the debate. But I mean, we can just say that the religionists won, right? I'm just kidding.
Always give Natalie the harder one.
Well, see, like, I've done like Model UN and stuff, and so like I'm all for debates. I'm like, I will debate anything, and even if it makes me sound so stupid, I will debate it.
That's how my husband is.
I'm sorry. It was nothing against you two. I love you two. I really do. But
It's okay. I think it's just so abstract of a idea because we've grown up in this religion that it was kind of hard to be able to defend it 100% because we didn't believe any of it. You know what I mean?
right. No. And I mean, like I told Cambria, I'm like, we totally lucked out because we don't have to think of another way like you guys have to do. So.
Well, and it's like we were saying, like, we have Elder Oaks on our side. We don't know, like, I don't know how you guys can compete with that.
All right. All right. Well, thank you guys, and I will post this discussion as soon as it gets on YouTube.
All right. Thank you.
See you next week. Bye.